Yeah. So again, I wouldn't recommend somebody do this on their own. This is a full-time job and you've got to be versed in the markets. You got to understand how markets work. And on top of that, Cory, you got to be unemotional.
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me back.
And this is our holiday edition. So happy holidays to you, Cory, and all of our listeners out there. We hope you're having a great holiday season. It's been warm in Kansas City. Doesn't feel like the holidays to me, but hey, here we are.
Day to day, that's right. I've got my holiday tie on today. Got the little nutcrackers on there, if you can see that.
You wear that in July, Cory?
Nope. December.
December
only December. Although, my wife Cassie's like, those look like droids from Star Wars. I was like, no, they're nutcrackers, but only December.
Holiday tie. There you go. I don't theme my ties. I don't try to theme any of my dress.
I'm surprised by that.
Maybe I'm not a Red
You're
Friday
a systems
guy.
and a theme kind of guy.
I am a systems and a theme, but I'm not a Red Friday guy. I'm not a casual Friday guy. I just wear a suit and tie. I'm a professional, Cory.
This is about as spicy as I get, Jake.
Fair enough. Well, you got anything new you want to share with the audience before we dive into today's topics?
No, I don't have too much new other than I'm ready to go. How about you?
Well, I got one thing I wanted to share today. I was talking lately about our purpose, and I just wanted to share that with our audience. Our purpose at Falcon Wealth Advisors, our North Star, something our clients need to know as they engage with us and work with us. It's very simple, Cory. Falcon Wealth Advisors exists to enhance our clients' lives. That's it. We're here to enhance our clients' lives from a financial planning and investment performance or investment perspective. We're here to enhance our clients' lives, not advance them, enhance them. And the long version of it, Cory, is that clients ultimately choose to work with us to enhance their financial literacy and explain exactly what their financial plan means to them. So for our clients, it's about them and their plan, not so much about us. Now, one thing I do want to point out, though, to our clients and to our potential clients out there is that we can't do this alone. We don't have a magic wand at Falcon Wealth Advisors that we are just waving. We need our clients to come in and review with us, whether that's via Zoom, a phone call, or a meeting. We need our clients to come in and share their tax returns with us so that we can do proper planning. We can't do that without some client participation. I think a lot of times, Cory, some clients will say, well, you guys will do it. You guys will figure it all out. That's what I pay you for. And yes, we do crunch the numbers, but we can't do it without, this is a partnership. I have a client that I love it when they say that. It's like they see our relationship as a partnership. We're going to own up to our end and they're going to own up to their end. And to us, that's what a successful relationship looks like. So don't just count on your advisor to do everything for you. It's not how this works. You've got to have a role in that. So again, I wanted to share that. I thought that was a powerful point that I wanted to make today. And I think it's important for everybody out there. And to our loyal audience, Cory, our subscriber count continues to grow on YouTube. Our podcast numbers are looking really good also. So thank you so much for our amazing audience. When did we start recording Upticks, Cory? You mentioned that to me the other day. What year was that?
6 years ago, Jake, is when we recorded our first video. And 7 years ago is when we recorded the first audio episode.
Wow. So 7 years, time flies when you're having fun, Cory. Again, this is the 329th episode.
That's right.
And we're going to keep it rolling. We're excited for 2025. So again, if you have any questions that you want me and Cory to address live here on Upticks, please email Luke at falconwealthadvisors.com. And Luke will make sure that your comments, questions, whatever it is you want us to talk about, he'll make sure that we get that information. Please like and share content, 5-star rating, thumbs up, all that stuff is greatly appreciated. All right, Cory, let's kick it off here.
That's good. All right, Jake, let's get started. Our first headline, this Roth strategy lets elite savers stash $70,000 a year in their 401k in 2025.
All right, Cory. So this is referring to what's commonly referred to as the mega backdoor Roth 401k contribution strategy. And I'm sure most of our audience knows this, but the English version of this, Cory, is basically what this means is that you could take advantage of increased 401k contribution limit allowances and actually put more money into a Roth 401k than you can a regular Roth IRA. Now, to continue with our format, Cory, we need to get back into that. I think we kind of strayed last week. I'm going to talk about the pros of this strategy, and you're going to talk about the cons. And let's go one for one here. All right.
Let's do it.
So, number one, Cory, the number one pro of this strategy, in my opinion, is that it allows high income earners. So, again, if you make too much money to be able to contribute to a Roth in the first place, you can do it and you can significantly boost your retirement savings and potentially create a larger tax-free nest egg for you and your family down the road. How about that for a great pro from the strategy? All right, Cory, what's the con?
One of the cons or the downside is the eligibility restrictions. I think ultimately this can be most beneficial for high income earners, but just the accessibility for someone to do this inside their 401k plan is not necessarily going to be available everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The second pro, Cory, is that there's basically the tax benefits, which I talked about here already a little bit. But when you contribute to a Roth 401k, you make the contribution with after-tax dollars. So you don't get an immediate tax deduction. But Cory, as long as your withdrawals are qualified later in life and for retirement, they're tax-free. So this could be literally thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in tax-free withdrawals later in life. What's a con?
Right. But what about the immediate tax impact? The contributions that someone's making to a Roth 401k, those are made with after-tax dollars. So they're going to be paying more taxes on the front end when the money's going in, as opposed to deferring it like they would with pre-tax contributions. So my question, that raises a question, Jake, because I hear you loud and clear. The tax benefits of long-term growth tax-free, but how do you sort of reconcile that with the tax impact of making the Roth contributions on the front end? How do you decide what makes the most sense for the right person?
And all the more reason compliance is going to love the statement I'm going to make right now, Cory, is that this is why this show is not advice, because a mega backdoor Roth contribution does not help everybody, right? And one of your cons, I'll give you a little bit more to your con, is that a lot of people can't afford to put 70,000 in their 401k, right? Or whatever, 60,000, whatever, right? So that's another barrier to entry. But if you're in a high bracket and you could actually benefit more from a tax deduction in 2024 or 2025, then it might not make sense for you to do this. So again, the show is not advice. You should always sit down with your financial planner at Falcon Wealth Advisors. We've got a great team of 5 planners that are happy to crunch these numbers and then work in conjunction with your CPA or your tax advisor just to see what makes most sense. Here's the problem though, Cory, is that we don't know what tax rates are going to be a decade from now. So it's not a one size fits all. This is not advice. And that's another reason that you need to look at it every year. One year, this may make sense for you. And the next year, believe it or not, it may not. Or maybe we do alternate every other year. Or maybe we do half pre-tax and half Roth. I don't know, right? I can't tell you that on this show because it's going to be specific to every single person. That's why this pays, in my opinion, to hire a wealth advisor so that they can crunch these numbers, work with your tax accountant, and figure out what makes most sense for you and your family. But you're right. If you're looking to lower your taxes this year, this doesn't help that at all. Doesn't help it at all.
Right.
So
I do want to point out real quick though, Jake, a real example of this. A client that I work with took advantage of exactly this strategy, right? The really being able to fund the 401k, the mega funding, the Roth piece inside the 401k plan made sense for this particular client in a prior year, Jake. Didn't make as much sense for them this year, but that is exactly why we have to look at that year over year and do not assume that it's going to be the same.
That's right. That's right, Cory. All right, good. Let's go on to the next one here. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, Cory. Well, first, I got a quick plug. I forgot to bring this up. I should bring it up now anyways. I'm out there on social media, Cory. You know it, right?
I do.
We all know it. I'm out there.
I see you out there.
Whether you like it or not, I'm out there.
Swinging the golf club, sharing your trap classical. We love it.
Trap classical music, right? But I'm out there on Instagram, Instagram is where I've been paying a lot more attention to lately. So if you're out there on Instagram, and I think there's literally like 1 billion people out there. So if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this, you're probably on Instagram. So if you want to give me a follow, my handle, if they still call it handle,
I think so.
my
I think it's your
handle is
handle.
my handle is Jake_Falcon_CRPC, which stands for Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor. So again, Jake_Falcon_CRPC. And Cory, I know you have more of a presence on LinkedIn, right? Is that where you're kind of focusing?
I do, yes.
So how many connections you have out there? You got a lot of connections on LinkedIn.
Yeah, around 7,500. And you can find me under my name, Cory Bittner.
Cory Bittner. All right. Let's move on. Enough of that social media plug.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So Cory, how to have a happy retirement. 4 secrets from research. All right, Cory, what do you got here?
All right, Jake. So first off, this is from a blog that I have never read before that I came across called Barking Up the Wrong Tree, which I appreciate. That was the name of this blog here. But a happy retirement, right? So retirement, this is talked about in the blog post here. It's the mythical promised land where every day is Saturday. No more punching the clock, no more staff meetings, no more pretending to be interested in your coworkers' photos from their last trip to Dollywood or whatever it might be.
That's a good one, Cory. That's a good one.
But retirement. What I appreciate about this, though, Jake, is because it really is that retirement is often presented like a montage, almost like from a pharmaceutical ad. Biking through the scenic parks, face just radiating with joy. Jake, swallowed a bottle of sunshine. That's really what I think people think of. It's kind of what we see retirement presented as. What's interesting about this, though, and what research has shown, is it can be like that. Retirement can be for a little bit in the beginning, but it can lead to a significant drop in life satisfaction if not properly planned. And it's critical to maintain structure and purpose. Going back, we've talked about our purpose, but it's critical for people to maintain purpose in retirement as well. So really, as far as having a happy retirement, what I wanted to talk about first and foremost is just retirement more broadly, Jake, and the pros and cons associated with it. And I want to start with one of the pros, which is very much the joy that people get out of walking away from employment, whatever it might have been, wherever it is that they were working. But the sense of joy, the sense of freedom that comes with that, especially with retirees rating quality of life earlier in retirement much higher than those that are still working, big advantage to retirement. But what do you think, Jake? What about the other side of it?
So you want to hear a con of retiring?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, like you mentioned a little bit in this article, is that they get depressed, which is scary. And there's a feeling of loss of direction and purpose, weakened self-esteem, and reduced motivation, right? I mean, what about that person that's like, Cory, I used to get up every day at 6 a.m. Now I don't have to. I sleep until 10. And that's a real thing. It happens. And I don't want people to feel shame if they've gone down that road. But that's why, again, you've got to shed a light on retirement. And it's a little bit, you got to work at it. So again, that's a con of retirement is you don't have direction anymore. What's another pro?
Exactly. Well, and real quick though, Jake, I just wanted to tie that back to the 4 secrets, right, from the research to a happy retirement.
Oh, yeah, did you say those yet?
I'm going to tie these back in here. So the first one is to have a plan beyond the finances. So I think that's tied in with what, Jake, you and I just talked about.
Right.
So plan for the time, not just the money. You're going to need structure and activities, some semblance of a reason to get out of bed in the morning. The author, Jake, in this blog post joked how the first year of retirement can feel like you just escaped from Shawshank. But after that, and the years that follow can sometimes feel like the adult version of being grounded for some people.
All right. Good. What's another pro?
So another pro, though, of course, is the health benefits. Living purposefully in retirement can significantly reduce the risk of Alzheimer's, strokes, and cardiovascular events.
Yeah. Another con, though, Cory, is that after you have the party, right? You have the big retirement party. You go on that big bucket list vacation. You do the home improvement projects, right? You're knocking it all out. It's all done and everything's tied up and with a bow on it. Then it drops, and it drops hard, and it can drop pretty significantly after those first 2 years. And so you have to be aware that, let's say you retire at 60, you're 62, and you've done everything. Your house is perfect.
Yep.
You've been there, done that. You don't want to travel anymore, right? Or whatever. Or golf now is a job, right? Or you don't want to be around your grandkids. You love them, but you don't want to see them every day.
Right. Yes, right. That's true.
So that's a real deal.
And that's why I think, to tie it back to the second secret here, Jake, you may want to keep working, right? Many people do.
Yeah.
You may miss having something to do other than waiting for the mail. Whatever your day-to-day activity is, just recognizing that you're going to need a plan for your time. And secondly, you may want to keep working. Which I think, though, to tie that back to another positive or a pro from retirement here, though, Jake, is the opportunity for new goals, right? Time, going back to having a plan for that time. Retirement can ultimately be a time to pursue new goals, activities, the things that do provide fulfillment and structure in life after work.
Yeah, and I'll give you a con, but I like that because I haven't thought about that one much, and I think that's a little newer than what you and I have talked about before. Is that how exciting, Cory? Like, you and I go over goals all the time, right? We're running a business here. We've got a team, we've got clients. You and Cassie are starting to grow your family.
Yep.
You have those, but imagine 20 years from now or 30, you get to reset your goals, but they really can be around anything because you're hopefully financially independent, right? Your kids are grown and gone, so now it's really about you and Cassie or whatever. Like, but your goal can be as little or as big as you want to make it, but it can be literally whatever you want to make it, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool pro. I don't know if I've heard it like that before. But another con, just to keep in with the theme, is that social isolation, which is a real problem. This article suggests the time spent with friends drops by half, and that's tough. I mean, especially if you're an extrovert. I think an introvert probably doesn't have that much trouble with retirement from a social aspect, but those extroverted clients, they really struggle with that, and it's something you got to work at, and you've got to find. I know your article's probably going to give some more secrets, but you've got to understand that that's normal to feel isolated, and there's some things that you can do to prevent that or fix that if you're feeling that way. But go ahead with your another secret here.
Yeah, so actually the last two secrets, right, to the happy retirement are both very much tied in with that, Jake. The third one is to get a hobby. The author here said, no, you're not going to befriend a quirky group of local eccentrics and solve murders like a BBC drama. But he said that you need something that you're going to be passionate about. And then the fourth one, Jake, is to get social, exactly what you just described. Have friends, see them often, resolve any ongoing issues that you may have with your partner, communicate, maintain those friendships, and stay social.
Good article to find here, Cory. So again, recapping those 4 secrets.
Yes.
Have a plan beyond finances. Maybe you work a little longer, or you go back to work, or get a part-time job.
Yep.
Get a hobby, right? And I'll talk about that here in a moment. And then get social. So as far as getting a hobby, Cory, what are some hobby ideas? I mentioned something about this the other day. I think on my Instagram, actually. I was talking about hobbies should make you healthy. Hobbies should make you smarter, and hobbies should make you money. If you can find a hobby that does all 3 of those, that's a pretty darn good hobby. So do you have any hobby ideas for our listeners out there? Maybe that you've seen clients take on? Do you have any that have checked all 3? Healthy, wiser, and wealthier?
Yeah, checked all 3 boxes.
That's a tough
Trying to
one.
think if I know anyone that has made money from pickleball, Jake, or has gotten smarter from playing pickleball. That has been a big hobby that a lot of people have taken up. I know clients that play a lot of disc golf in retirement. I think about my own parents.
Do you really? You have a lot of disc golfers?
Yeah. Yep.
Have you ever played disc golf?
Never played. Not once.
We should go. There's a park right over by our house, or golf course right over by our not our house, our office, but we should. I've never done it. Anyways.
Yeah, January is probably a great time for it. I'm just kidding. But we should do it.
No. When it warms up. When it warms up. So I'm trying to think of a hobby.
Yeah.
I think maybe so a lot of them, if you're going to make money at it, right? Like maybe you're a Uber driver, and in between, Uber driver, you could get wiser because you're meeting different people, right? And you're learning new things from the people. And healthy, you're having to get up. Maybe you're an Uber driver at 6 a.m. every day. So that like from 6 to 8, you're like, you know what? I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. and drive Uber for 2 hours. And you're probably going to be taking people to the airport, I would imagine, or to work. And, I think that would be an interesting crowd. Like, who needs an Uber? You needed an Uber at 6 a.m. once, or 7 a.m. Did you remember that, Cory? You wrecked your car when we started Falcon Wealth Advisors.
Yes.
And then you Ubered to work. So
every day for a few weeks. Yes.
Yeah. So you needed that. So again, I think that would be interesting one. But then I
I
want
know
to
some
talk
people,
about,
Jake, who do that while they're still employed before retirement. Actually, they go in Uber in the morning before
yeah,
work.
sure. Why not? And then get social. I think this is important. I've been doing this with Rachel's friends. They came up with the idea. And I think it's good because I think maybe it's because they like us. I like to think.
Maybe.
So after we hang out socially,
Yep.
we've been like hanging out like once a month, dinner usually, like on a Friday or whatever. At the end of the evening, we pull up our schedules, Corey, and we schedule the next time we're going to hang out, right? Because you know what happens.
Yep.
You have a good time with someone, and you're like, "Oh yeah, we should do this again," and then it never gets scheduled. It just doesn't happen. So I think that's smart. Schedule those social outings. I have a lot of clients that get lunch with their
Yep.
former coworkers once a
Yep.
month, once a quarter. They just go get lunch. That's no big deal. And if you don't have that, then why don't you be the change that needs? Why don't you be the ringleader? Why don't you start it up with people that you actually enjoyed working with? Because you don't have to do it with people you didn't
That
enjoy
part's
working with.
important. Yeah.
But go be the ringleader and say, you know what? I want to start a monthly lunch group. Let's go have lunch once a month, and let's just talk about the good times, the bad times, and what's going on in our lives today. Like that's not a bad thing. I think those are good things. You got to schedule it though. You got to put some effort into it.
Yep, it's really about being intentional. But I thought that was a great article, Jake, and some great takeaways there
Yeah, good
because you and
job,
I have
Corey.
met with and have seen a lot of people retire. But I appreciate it being presented that way.
Yeah. Let's do another one.
All right, Jake, inflation is not dead yet. How to protect your retirement income.
Yeah, Corey. So this article talks about how persistent inflation can erode retirement income, and it talks about strategies to protect against it. And we've got a big one that we use to help our clients who retired with inflation. But it emphasizes the importance of having a diversified portfolio that includes assets like stocks, and that potentially can outpace inflation. So you've heard this before. This is an old adage that the retiree will say, "Well, I'm on a fixed income." Right. And that typically means they're living on pension income or annuity income and maybe Social Security, which kind of raises with inflation somewhat. Right. That's the fixed income. So the point, though, inflation is real and it's certainly been here, right, for the last couple of years. And so
Yep.
the pro of basically diversifying your portfolio is that you can put inflation resistant assets to help maintain purchasing power. So what I'm talking about, Corey, are stocks, right?
Hmm.
So some retirees, and luckily most of our clients don't think this way, but some retirees think they should have no stocks and that all of their money should be in CDs or in savings account because they aren't working and they can't risk losing any money. And I fully understand that. However, $1 million today is a lot different than what $1 million was 20 years ago. And if you retired with $1 million 20 years ago and you just sat it in cash versus investing some of it and diversifying some of it, I would argue, again, history is no indicator of future performance, but I'd argue if you would have done that, you would have had a much more robust retirement savings account
Mm.
than just keeping it in cash. So again, you got to have some inflation protection in there, and stocks is one way to do that. What's a negative here or
And I'll give
con?
you one of the cons there, though, Jake, is the market volatility, right? Stocks and growth assets can be volatile, which can lead to pretty significant fluctuations in your retirement portfolio's value, especially for someone that has worked and has earned the money they're going to earn.
That's a good one. I'm going to just refute that, right? Because you know the answer to this already. So
Let's hear it.
the key though with stocks is you don't want to have anything in the stock market that you're going to need to access within the next 5 years, and ideally 10 years, right? So
Mm.
the way to protect your account from that volatility is knowing you've got money in stocks, yes, but that's not money you need to spend anytime soon. And that is what's called the risk premium. If you're able to stomach that volatility, historically speaking, investors have been rewarded in the form of higher than inflation gains. And that's the whole key with the stock market is that you don't want to put money in stocks that you know you're going to need in the short term because there is risk there and there will be volatility. And so another pro though, Corey, leading into that is the growth potential, right? So not only the inflation protection, but investing in stocks, you could grow much faster than inflation and much higher returns. And again, that will help offset inflation as well by having stocks that are growing at 5, 10, 15% on average, whatever, a year. And again, there's no guarantee here. So I want to be very clear. But again, having that growth potential, your portfolio actually can grow faster than inflation. So not only does your purchasing power keep up, it exceeds it. And that would be really lovely to see something like that. You got another negative?
Yeah, the level of complexity, managing a diversified portfolio requires a strong understanding of different asset classes and their behavior, which I think, Jake, can be challenging for some retirees.
Yeah. So again, I wouldn't recommend somebody do this on their own. This is a full-time job, and you've got to be versed in the markets. You got to understand how markets work. And on top of that, Cory, you got to be unemotional. So there's a trifecta there. Full-time job. You have to understand the difference between growth and value and large cap, mid cap, small cap, international. You got to know how to diversify your assets. And then the third one, you got to be unemotional about your decisions. And that's very difficult for anybody to do, especially when it's your money. That's why we have a team of professionals at Falcon Wealth Advisors. Their full-time job is managing the portfolio and looking at those things so that our clients know. Full-time crew looking at it. They understand the markets. No, they can't predict the future. Nobody can. They understand them, and they're unemotional. We use math to dictate when we buy or sell for clients. We're not using anybody's gut feel.
And
That's good.
I think a quick important point though, Jake, too, just to share here is that, you and I, as far as our own financial planning and portfolio management goes, that's exactly, this is what we follow, right? That's exactly why you and I meet with the financial planners here in our office to review our financial plans and to review our portfolio, because we recognize that we're human, right? And we have the same emotions that everybody else does. And that's why we lean on the team at Falcon Wealth Advisors, Jake, just the same way our clients do.
Right. That's exactly right. That's good. That's why we have a team in place. And again, you're right. I do it two reasons. One, I want to train my planners to
Yep.
know what they're looking for and looking at. And two, you're right. I want a third party opinion. I ask these guys on our team, our planners, advice on my own financial plan,
Same.
which is good. Even though of course I'm qualified, right? I've been doing this 18 years. Of course I am, but I am also emotional. So that's why I have a third party looking at my plan
Yep.
where their emotions are removed completely from my plan. They don't care.
Yep.
They care about me as a human.
Yeah, how quickly can we get Jake to retirement? I'm just kidding.
They care about me like any other client, right? Of course, but they don't care. They're not looking at my money because it's not theirs,
Right.
right? So they're not looking at it
Exactly.
from an emotional point of view. Good, Cory. We got time for a quick one. We got a quick one here.
Yep. Let's do
We'll
it.
do the next one. All right. Here's one more. One more, Cory. How seniors can donate more to charity and pay less in taxes. How about this one, Cory?
How about it? Okay. Two strategies here, Jake. I just want to touch on at a high level, and then we can run through the pros and cons on each of them. So the two tax strategies for seniors here, for folks that are aged 70 and a half or older, there's several tax efficient strategies for charitable giving, including qualified charitable donations or QCDs that we're going to expand on here in a moment, and donor advised funds. So these strategies can help reduce various taxes, offset income, and even bypass capital gains taxes. So what I want to do, Jake, first here is talk about the QCDs, or the qualified charitable donations. I'll give the pros, really. The QCDs allow for seniors that are 70 and a half or older to donate pre-tax funds directly from a traditional IRA to a charitable organization without owing income tax in those withdrawals. And it does not matter if they itemize or if they take the standard deduction.
All right, let me give you a con. Here's the kicker, though, with that, Cory, is that the IRA sponsor has to cut the check directly to the charity. So there's a little bit more complexity there. You can't just take the money and then. So again, you have to get where the money's held to send that money directly to the charity.
Yep, that's exactly right. And the QCDs, though, Jake, a pro is that they can reduce retired minimum distributions and adjusted gross income for a retiree on their tax return, which can help with further tax benefits.
Yeah, and another con on this, Cory, is that you have to understand that it's not an automatic deduction on your tax filing. Is that you need to educate your accountant and your CPA and let them know what you did, because for some reason, I don't know why, but these custodians don't have proper notation of what you did. So you've got to say, hey, I gave 10,000 from my IRA to this charity. Here's proof that it went directly to the charity. Mr. and Mrs. CPA, will you please make sure you deduct that? So again, you have to educate your accountant on what you did and have proof of it. So there's a little bit more work that goes into it. It's not an automatic reporting system here.
Yep, which is good. And I appreciate you covering that, Jake, because you're right. The 1099s will state, here's how much money came out of the IRA, but it's not going to state clearly, here's how much is taxable and here's how much is not. So there is some record keeping there. But what I love about this strategy for people that are charitably inclined in retirement, Jake, is the fact that this is a built-in way that they can gift money. They can do it to help their own tax situation. And it doesn't matter the level of complexity with their tax return. It doesn't matter if they have enough deductions to be able to take advantage of this. It's relevant either way. And then the other strategy I wanted to talk about briefly here, Jake, is donor advised funds. So one of the pros to a donor advised fund is that it is a vehicle that provides flexibility and convenience that allows somebody to gift money to a donor advised fund in any one given year. And they ultimately can get the tax deduction for that year, but they don't have to gift all the money to the organization in the same calendar year.
Right. So donor advised fund, you can just think of it as it's like another account you open. It's like a Roth IRA or IRA. It's a donor advised fund. So it's another type of account. Go ahead and go over a pro, Cory.
Yeah. The funds can be invested and they can grow tax free until they are distributed to charitable organizations. So this is a way to maximize how much money is gifted.
Yeah, and a con here is you're going to want to weigh the tax benefits from that or the QCD, as Cory calls it, because it might not be as good. So again, you got to understand which one makes sense for you. The show is not advice. Crunch the numbers with your financial planner and then crunch the numbers with your CPA.
Yep, absolutely. And another pro here though, Jake, is that the donations can be made anonymously. Sponsors can handle the paperwork, making it possible for donors to do a year's worth of giving in just a few minutes.
Yeah, a few minutes. Look at that. What an advertisement for that.
How about that?
The donor advised deductions don't necessarily reduce your adjusted gross income or the taxes linked to it. And QCDs could do that. So again, it might not be as tax favorable for somebody in their 70s or over 70 and a half.
Yep. Yeah. And one more pro though around this is that because you can donate appreciated stock directly to a donor advised fund, it may help you to avoid the capital gains that you would owe otherwise if you were to sell that security.
Yeah, that's a good one. But it's like there's also restrictions.
Yep.
So you can only do so much of a percentage of your adjusted gross income. So again, it's not as clean. Now that I see these cons adhere to, Cory, it's not as clean probably as a qualified charitable distribution. But again, if you're under 70 and a half and you want to do charitable planning, I think it's definitely something you should look into. But just know that both of these are complex. I don't think you should do either of them on your own. You definitely need to work with a wealth advisor or team and your CPA to make sure, it can be simple once you understand it. But again, you've got to have a team helping you do it. Because I think if you do this on your own, you're opening up the door for a lot of mistakes. You got to be careful with that.
Yeah, and it all ties in and it's connected with everything else, right? How your portfolio is invested, your liquidation strategy, where funds are coming from in retirement, et cetera. It's all tied together.
Yeah. Good one, Cory. All right, good. We got to wrap it up today. Well, thank you, Cory. Happy holidays, Cory, to you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to our audience. Thank you guys so much. Another great year of Upticks. And we look forward to a new year and a new show as we keep rolling along here. So thank you, Cory. And we hope all of you out there have a great holiday season and a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.